everybody, to the Best Damn Podcast. I am your host, John Keene. As always, I would like to thank you guys for joining me. Ask that you please add, follow, and check us out. Instagram, Facebook, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn, and wherever you're watching from, please make sure to hit that like and give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment, let me know what you think. Share this link, that way other people can find us. And tonight we're going to be talking about the altar and the ego. I'm going to be taking a little bit of a walk through the neighborhood tonight, so you guys can join me for this one. We're about to hop off the main road here in just a second. And as always, I am so excited to be able to do the stream and be able to just jump in with you guys. I will be able to see the chat. So if you guys want to, comment or have anything to chime in, make sure to do so. And make sure you check me out on all the other platforms as well. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of that. I've been trying to be way more active on, like the other social media platforms, just because, I feel like we're in an important time, really. It's an important time. And consciously, too, as well. I did a video yesterday talking about, have we reached the critical mass? Really just discussing how we're at this moment, this pinnacle, if you will, in a conscious existence where finally enough people are starting to get it. Finally, enough people are starting to see that our reality is not only mutable, and we have the ability to change things. We have the ability to tilt the scales, if you will, and push things, in a direction to where we not only claim our own sovereign existence and guide ourselves into the future and no longer are at the mercy of the powers that be, if there is such a thing. But there's enough people that have finally comprehended and understood, what is taking place. Enough people that has finally comprehended and understood what is taking place, that I feel like the entire, polarity of the planet is beginning to shift. And this is what I would define as the pole shift, right? A polarity shift. I do live in a busy area. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. For those who are not familiar with my work, those who haven't, watched me for a long time, let me see if I can clean the screen. I actually just licked it like a nasty ass. Everybody in the chat too, make sure to hit the thumbs up. Hey, Donna Marie, it's nice to see you. Nice to see you. And if you guys haven't caught, I did, drop a few reels, dropped a few videos over on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter and all that stuff. And just forgive me if it's dark for a second. I'm just walking under the street lights, so I will come back into focus. Whenever I first start the streams on these type of things, these type of live events where I'm doing like the walks or whatever, sometimes it gets a little glitchy. So just kind of bear with me. It's like, and I feel like that's the crazy part about doing the content now. Everybody is so used to that theatrical perfection, right? Whenever you do content that, it's like, our attention span's already short because we all have fucking ADD, it appears, that we can't take even a lull in the action for even a moment, right? We're not used to the imperfections. We want that, we want something to look like a Hollywood production, no matter what we're doing, no matter where we're at, no matter, what's going on. And that's just not how life is. Life is not a Hollywood production. Life is just not a Hollywood production. And this is our, and before we get into the, the whole concept of tonight's video, which, the altar and the ego, and the reason I chose this is because you see within, Hollywood and witchcraft and, all the different types of devilry that we'd like to call it, the alter ego, right? Which is the concept of us essentially creating an alternative persona of ourselves in which we project an image, we project an idol, right? Yeah, and let me know if you guys can see me and hear me too in the chat. I am going to find a place over here to kind of like plop down. That way I can get into some good lighting and not have to kind of like be all over the place. So just bear with me for just a moment. Just a moment, bear with me. I wanted to make sure I got away from all the main roads and stuff tonight. So thank you, Donna. But like I was saying, the alter ego, right? We all have this, whether we believe so or not. And a lot of us, we believe our main ego, the self that we actually exist with in our everyday life, the person that we actually claim to be, the persona that we have actually adopted as our main personality, is in fact that alter ego, which is crazy when you really think about it, when you really consider these things, meaning, and this is why identity politics and shit like that is so fucking effective. And here we go. I'm gonna sit down right here under this light, that way people can see me. Hopefully everybody that tuned out, decides to come back. Live action vid. Well, people don't like the live action. They want something that's, like I said, more of a Hollywood production. And that's like that mesmerizing, it's something easier to digest, when it's mesmerizing. It's got all the audio and video effects and shit like that, just to be honest. And people don't like it when you talk about real shit either these days, right? Which just kind of goes to show, not only in support the fact that most of us have created an alter ego. And think about like what a demon is, if you look at like the etymology of the word, which is a domain, a persona, a mask, right? Most people in our world now are wearing a mask. Most of us are wearing a mask in our everyday lives. And to say that you're not would be a lie. To say that you don't, or to say that you don't in any capacity would be a lie. It would be a falsehood, right? When you go to work, are you the same person that you are at home? No, you're not, right? It's a mask that you wear, right? Because you're putting your best foot forward. You're trying to be effective at your job, okay? Within a family, or, when you're single, are you the same person? No, you're not, right? Because when you're single, you're trying to capture, right? Or attract or lure in a mate. So you are projecting forward a different type of energy, a different type of persona as you are, as once you have already accumulated that, And this goes in every asset, or, every facet and every aspect of our life. All of us essentially at the end of the day, are, choosing. We're choosing who we project ourselves to be to the world. And I think like when we reach a real place of like awakening and understanding and awareness, and if there is such a thing, the two will match, right? Because it's actually authenticity, not love and not light, that emanates at the highest frequency and the highest vibration, right? It's being authentic, it's being genuine. And I've said this in the past too, and a lot of people, I feel like it rubs them the wrong way, probably because, a multitude of reasons. But when you admit your shortcomings to people, you know, whether it's like, you know, drug addiction, you know, alcohol, sex addictions, whatever, right? They use that to automatically disqualify you. They use that to automatically disqualify you from being able to speak upon certain things. Yep, every day we do. Yeah, absolutely, Deborah. And I, like I said, I do want to say thank you to everybody that's joining. Only when you're in a store, at work, you bartend and do home care. I'm out of the collective. Definitely helped through your words and efforts. Authentic is the only thing to be. I don't care anymore. We can all say that, like that, you know, we don't care. And this is the crazy part. A lot of us don't care, you know, what others think. Right? And how others perceive us and how others see us. And that's a beautiful thing when you reach that point. Because you see the majority of society that their lives are dictated by how the outside world perceives them. Right? But it's like, how are we perceiving ourselves? You know, how are we perceiving ourselves? Do you see yourself as a success? As a failure? Do you hold against yourself, you know, your shortcomings and the things that you failed to accomplish in life? Because if you do, like most of us do, you know, there is a resentment that's built up. And it's like almost, and not everybody, but a lot of us, you know, we're almost willing to give more love to others. And this is why we seek like relationship and things like that. Because we're almost willing to give more love to people external to us and in external relationships than we are to ourselves. We're almost willing to give more people grace than we are to ourselves. I myself being a prime fucking example of this, right? Like one of the moments I finally like, and I'm not an enlightened being or anything like that. And I'm sorry, I'm just going a little bit further away from the street. That way you guys don't have to hear the background traffic here. One of the most freeing moments of my life actually came, you know, when I realized this, when I realized that I was willing to forgive other people, no matter how atrocious the act, right? They could lie to me, they could steal from me, they could cheat on me, they could betray me, they could do anything they wanted to my ass, and I would be willing to overlook it. I'd be willing to forgive and forget and, you know, and move forward and, you know, and all these things. But when it came to myself and when it came to the standard that I held myself at, I wasn't able to do the same. You know? I wasn't able to do the same. I was never able to let go of the mistakes that I have made. Forgiveness is key. It absolutely is. I was never able to let go of my own shortcomings. Right? I was never able to give myself the love that I was willing to give others in my life. You know? And I had a friend, you know, a really good friend actually of mine. And I'm almost at my spot here, guys. So if I'm going in and out with the light here. You know, I had a really good friend of mine, you know, and he told me, he said, I mean, I feel like this is one of the most genuine things anybody's ever said to me in my life, actually. It was like, he said, John, you know, all I really want for you is I want you to learn to love you the way that you love others. And it's like it didn't register to me because I thought to myself, like, and sometimes we all do, we think we've got it figured out. Like we get to these points of like awakening and consciousness and whatever, awareness. And we think, well, fuck you, you know, like, I do love me. You know, I like me. Not understanding that it's like my ego, you know, that I liked. It was the idea of me. not the real me. You know, it's who I perceive myself to be and who I wanted others to perceive me as. That was the idea I loved and appreciated and respected and all of that. Not the actual genuine person on the inside. Not the flawed, insecure, you know, addiction, obsessive personality, that person. He annoyed me to no end, you know. And see, and this is why, and a lot of the what we call the powers that be, and hold on, let me light my cigarette here. What we call the powers that, oh fuck. Okay, maybe not. Hold on 1 second, guys. What we call the powers that be. And you know what? And it's really sad too. I swear to God, it's so sad. I see chat numbers. If you don't have constant action in a stream, they'll drop instantly. You know, that's literally where people are at now. They're not watching for the right reasons anymore. They don't watch anything to learn. They don't watch anything to glean. They don't watch anything for community. You know, they simply watch it for entertainment, you know, which is neither here nor there. But like I was saying, to thine own self be true. Well, I feel like that's you know, that's a big thing. You know, we're always trying to find out who is that truest, realest version of ourselves. You know. And the powers that be, they understand this confusion because they are constantly confusing us from the day of our inception with these identity politics, right? Like whether it is, you know, you're gay or straight or liberal or conservative or you're fucking, you know, alternative or whatever, right? There's a label for everything, is there not? You know, and it's like they're handing you these prepackaged, you know, labels and identities for you to wear and to accept. And most of us have this, you know, this thought that we're taking on some true original, you know, concept of self, when really it you know, it's something that's been propagated to us, you know, by you know, this consumerist society. None of us ever take the time, the effort, the energy, you know, to truly find out what it is we genuinely like, what it is we genuinely believe. What would we believe if someone hasn't been pushing us to believe something our entire lives? You know, ego is a powerful drug. You know, it's the most addictive drug on the face of the earth. Fuck heroin, fuck coke, crack, meth, whatever you're addicted to. Ego will by far take you to a darker place than any of those drugs can ever take you to. You know, ego causes people to kill. How dare you do that to me? How dare you talk to me that way, right? The ego speaking. And these altars that we create within ourselves too, you know. And if you think about it, like in the concept of like witchcraft, right? And stay with me for a second. You know, I don't want to lose you. I say these words and I already know that because of the neuro-linguistic programming, a lot of people will automatically tune out, right? They'll tune out when they hear a word of witchcraft. Why? Because it has a negative connotation, evoking a negative emotional response. And that programming begins to kick in. They say, I'm not listening to that, right? Whether you're religious or not. If you're religious, you say, I don't listen to that because that's evil. If you believe you're not religious, even though you have been indoctrinated into a new religion called the New Age, I'm not listening to that because it's negativity. Right? these altars that are created, each time we create an altar within our mind, and from the concept, like I said, with, you know, witchcraft, an altar is something that, you know, is set up to give energy or reverence to deity, right? You put offerings at an altar, whether that's incense, images, etc., right, to the deity of your choice. Now understand that concept as we move forward, and the concept of altars, okay? Now, anytime we are fragmented against ourselves, anytime we are divided against ourselves, and this goes for any division, mind you, any division, because everything is universal. All is connected to the oneness, the wholeness, the all. Spirit, consciousness, everything emanates from this one source, right? So anytime you divide against anything, any fragment of the existence, you are in division against yourself. You are in opposition against self. A house divided against itself cannot stand, right? You are that spiritual house. You are that spiritual temple, okay? So one of the most effective tools that, you know, those who propagate your demise, right, and the powers that be actually have, is by causing division, not only within you, but within the society or the collective as a whole, correct? So let's kind of like consider here, right? An altar is something we give reverence, we give energy, we give offering to. What are we offering? We're offering our energy, we're offering our time, we're offering our focus, we're offering our spiritual essence and our spiritual self to something. Whether that's deity, you know, or something else. Everything we are in opposition to creates a fragment within ourselves. Correct? Now we've had the basis here. We have the underlying basis of what all this means as we move forward. Now, if you think about mind control, and you think about the system as a whole and how and why it's effective, I'm going to explain to you how and why it's effective and why we need to combat it in certain and particular ways in order to free ourselves from the system and the construct. One of the ways that it becomes effective is by creating these divisions. Now, when you look in society, you know, whether it's the religion that you believe in, you know, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, you know, so on and so forth. There's a million of them. Buddhism, right, etc., etc. Right, all of these being, and you guys know this if you watch this channel for any amount of time, and if you have not, I strongly suggest you watch some of my videos that I actually do at the house, you know, where I got the computer and all of that, where we do our deep dives, and you'll see that every religion on the face of the earth is, you know, in essence, it's the same. You know, it's talking about the same thing. You know, yet we still have this vitriol and this hate for one another based on belief systems, you know, that we think are in opposition to each other and are different, because that's what's been propagated by the religious leaders, and we're told to believe because we always want to believe that we're the only ones who have it right, or we're the only ones going to heaven, or we're the only ones with the answer, you know. And this continues today, even in the new age and in the new cycle, by what we call light workers and shit like that, which I'll, you know, I digress at the moment, but I will get into as we go deeper into this, right? So many people believe that, you know, the light worker is like the liberty from the system and from the matrix and all of this, and it couldn't be further from the truth. You're just being indoctrinated into a new system, and this is once again the spiritualization of the ego, right? Playing itself out in a cyclical pattern just in the Aquarian age instead of the Piscean, the Aryan and Taurian, etc., that we've experienced of the past. And Auntie Jan, Donna Marie Farrell, Blavians Galore. Sorry if I get your name wrong. Ty, Melopedia Britannica. It's been a while since I've seen you, Mel. Nice to see you. Deborah Trudeau. I just want to say what's up to those in the chat and show you my appreciation. Okay. So every time we create these altars, and understanding that everything in essence is oneness, it's wholeness, right? We are, part of this universal consciousness, everything being part of one. We are all, and I like to explain it in this way. If you think about like the angelic definition or the biblical definition of what you would call like a cherubim, which is a form of an angel, it's a covering angel, right? And I'm gonna have to do a video on cherubim and seraphim and all of that, and I'll do that maybe tomorrow, or something like that, just to kind of get a deeper dive. But a cherubim being the covering angel, is from this fiery throne that God sits on, right? We are that covering angel, right? Meaning the physical manifestation. That's the covering, the physical, the image, right? And the cherubim is an entity. I believe it has like 6 wings and etc. And you think about the hexagonal, dimensional aspects of reality with the Saturn moon matrix and all of that, right? And the hexagon and the hex and the X and the cross and crossing and all of that, which, like I said, we'll get into. But this entity, this being, is covered in eyes, right? It's covered in eyes. Each one of us represent one of those eyes, okay? Meaning that we're all an eye or a node on the universal organism. So we have the illusion of being an individual, but yet at the same time we are connected in this collective, right? Part of this oneness, this wholeness, this universality that we call God or spirit or whatever, right? So in essence, we are also the cherubim. If you dig deeper into some of my work, we talk about how in previous cycles, these were just different, mutations or incarnations of us at different conscious expressions of this creator force as it has descended or fallen to this conscious or dense state that we call humanity now, on its way back upward, up Jacob's ladder, into the progression to the source or to the all, to the whole, right? So, as these eyes being expressed on, sorry about that, as these eyes being expressed as this universal organism, each one of us having our own individual unique perspective, in this creation, right? So meaning I see one perspective and it's unique to me. You can never replicate or duplicate my experience because it's unique only to me, just like with you, right? I'll never know the entirety of your experience. We may have similarities and different things that contrast, but we'll never be identical in our experience because you're in a different position on this universal organism. You're a different eye on the cherubim, so to speak, right? And if you think about the reality being this reflection, right? This image, this projection, if you will, of this infinite awareness. Each one of us projecting our own individual unique experience, right? So consciously, and this is where like law of attraction and all of that comes into play, we're all projecting our own unique experience we call life. We're all just a ripple in the cosmic ocean of consciousness, if you will. And that's what you believe aliens are, other us's from different points in time. I absolutely agree wholeheartedly, actually, there, Antigen. I believe it's us from previous or future cycles, because there really is no construct of time, if you truly think about it. 666 and the mark of the beast, or the number of the beast, not only is it anatomical, the 6 carbon and shit like that, it also represents time, so, and it's the number of Saturn too, which is, the all father, the god of this world, etc., etc. I absolutely believe that, what we call in, mythology, which mythology to me are historical accounts of different cycles of the past. And I said this in yesterday's video, like, Taurus being derived of Venus. And you see, like, all the shit that was written on copper, which is the metal for Venus, and shit like that in the ancient past. And how the divine feminine with Isis and Ishtar and all of that, that was just a cycle. And it was a lunar cycle at that, right? So the expression of a lunar cycle to us, it seems evil now, does it not? That Taurus energy, it seems evil now, does it not? But at that time, it was a divine expression. That was just the energy of that day, because that's where they were in the conscious evolution or cycle of humanity. Now we look back at it and we're like, fuck, that's some dark shit, right? And especially if we look at, like, the Kabbalistic spheres, right? And that lowest sphere being, the genitalia, which is silver, and the moon sphere, in that lunar sphere, and it's Luna, and all of this, and it's, nighttime, Nox, darkness, Pan, it's correlations with dreams, etc., etc. We look at it now as something dark and evil, but at that time, that was holy. That's what the sages of that time were learning, because that's at the part of the evolutionary progression they were in. It just is what it is. Just like when we look at the Aryan age, or the age of Aries and fire, the element of fire, and we look at the Sumerians and the story, and think about the Sumerians too, right? Inanna, and like I said, about the feminine, and Ishtar, and Isis, and, the copper, and Venus, etc., etc. And then look at how it developed too, which Enki means I am, right? They're synonymous, actually, in Hebrew. And then developing into that masculine patriarchal energy, right? And Aries being, the sun, Marduk, right? The son of Enki, right? And how Moses on Mount Sinai, which, you could correlate that to a million other things, Mount Hermes, Mount Olympus, so many different civilizations had this mount that they went to, and the same mount that you go to now, just in a different expression or a different word, right? And it was an element of fire, which fire is a spiritual, magical energy. It's the essence that pushes, the Holy Spirit, right? That's why the world will be destroyed by fire, meaning a spiritual essence, right? And the sun is fire as well, right? It's an element of fire. It's an element of creation as well as destruction. Yeah, Sin AI. I love that. I love that. Hey, we're on the same wavelength, Anti-Gen. I love you. I swear. Like, that's really, that's deep. Yeah, I've seen it too. It's Sin AI. Think about it. And Sin, and I believe it's German. Sin means sound, right? And it may be like old Germanic language, that if I'm correct, but it means sound, right? So we're born into sound. And then think about Lucifer. He's the angel of music, right? The fallen angel, the most beautiful angel, right? And he was in charge of everything. He was a seraphim and a cherubim, and right, and that seraph, which is a fire being, a serpent being, that kundalini energy, that fire that comes up our spine, or our staff, which is, representative of kingship and our right to rule, you know, in our inheritance as the sons of God, you know. Sin was also named for the moon. Yeah, leaven, right? And that's why you eat unleavened bread and shit like that. It's sin. It represents the moon. That's absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct. See, and this is why I love doing the lives, you know, with the chat, because people have so much fucking cool shit to offer, and it, like, you know, but the age of Aries, and that's the ram, you know, that's the ram. And think about it, when Moses came down from the mountain back in that age, they were doing what? They were worshiping the golden calf, right? Taurus, you know? And it's gold because gold represents spirit. It also represents sun or spheres, right? Planetary spheres or stars, which are luminaries, you know? So they were still stuck into the old paradigm, the old cycle, when Moses or Moshe or Akhenaten was trying to bring them into the new cycle. You know, he's trying to bring them into the new cycle, just like we are now, right? Where people like myself and you are trying to bring people into the new cycle of Aquarius, and yet we still have everybody stuck into the religious paradigm of Pisces. You know, the religious paradigm of Pisces, and the Pisces is the two fish, right? The as above, so below. It's that dualistic nature, and it's water, which water represents the emotion, right, and the physical, you know. That's why Christ walked on water, right? He was above his emotional self. He ruled over the emotions. He had mastered the emotional self. He had mastered the physical self, right? That's what it means to be a son of God. A son of God deriving from the etymology of the Hebraic roots, meaning supreme magistrates or sons of God, right? These are the luminaries, heavenly spheres, stars, planets, so on and so forth. And that's why everybody worships Jehovah, which is Jupiter. Why? Because Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces, right? You know, and that's why the Great Flood or the Deluge began this cycle we're in now. You know, that Great Flood was just us starting a new age of Pisces. You know, I wonder what they're going to say about the cataclysmic or catastrophic ending of our cycle. You know, because they say that the earth will never be destroyed by water again, but by fire. So will they talk about it as a spiritual revolution? Metronome, you actually asked me in 2020 if I would do a podcast with you. I have no doubt about that. I love to collaborate with lots of people. I've collaborated with some of the greatest minds in our niche or in our sphere. So, talking about the altar once again. Right, this altar, this concept of giving our energy, giving our essence, giving our focus to something external of the self, okay? This divisive process in which, in a mirrored reality, we're no longer seeing the wholeness, the oneness, the universality, and collective energy and expression of each one of us individually. We're now seeing it as a fragmented, distortion where we're giving energy outside of the self. One of the tactics that we see today in mind control and brainwashing and all of that, and it's been very, very effective up until this point, is trauma-based mind control. You see it in SRA, which is satanic ritual abuse, which I did a pretty good video on satanic ritual abuse about a couple months ago. It actually it was good enough to get me kicked out of every Satanist group I belong to on Facebook, if that tells you anything. And it's not because I'm a Satanist that I belong to those. It's because I try to ingratiate myself with like every type of people, because I want to see everybody's perspective and point of view, because like I said, we're all just an eye on the universal organism, just this giant social memory complex that we call God. It blows my mind how we think that everything here happened by some fucking cosmic accident. It blows my fucking mind that we can even think like that. It blows my mind to think that, you know, yet we have the power of attraction, we have the power of perception and free will and all these things, yet we still somehow believe that we're all enslaved here. You know, and that humanity is enslaved. Who enslaved us but us? Do you truly believe that there's an alien race that's captured your essence here in a physical reality and is feeding off your loosh? You know, if you do, it's up to you. But you're probably also one of those people that believe the Pleiadians or Arcturians or, you know, Orions or, you know, Syrians or whatever are going to also come down here and save you or liberate humanity, you know, from this low state of consciousness. Or also one of those people that believe Muhammad or Jesus or whatever is going to come save you, you know, from yourself. It's all what we call the exoteric, meaning everything is externalized, you know, instead of internalized. It's good to see you again. I remember the Global Witness times. I do too. I love Derek. I actually had a very long conversation with Derek just about a week ago. And he's what actually inspired me to start doing content again. Just to keep it real. I love Derek. That's one of my best friends in this world. I've known him for about 7-8 years now. He's a big reason of why I've had the, you know, the success I've had. And he's been a mentor for me. I don't care who doesn't like him or not. Fuck you if you don't like him. That's a great friend to me. He's been more loyal to me than probably, you know, anybody in my life. I grew up poor. I grew up, you know, hard. And to me, loyalty is everything. So. No, but I do believe there are soulless AIs who look and act just like us. They are not cryo reanimation uploaded consciousness. Okay, so okay, I'll get into that in just a second, right? And if we think about that too, you know, that's the concept of a devil, which means double. You know, if we look at like the true etymology of the word devil, it actually means a double. You know, it's a mirrored image or a reflection or a projection of us, right? That's what a devil is. And we demonize, you know, this devil, not understanding that it's actually our shadow self, you know, that we're demonizing. And the powers that be, they want you to do that. Why? Because they're capitalizing on that and sucking up all that energy, you know. You're not understanding that for every action there is a reaction, that there is a balance to nature and reality, you know. And that everything you do, speak, say, think, etc., you are actually accountable for. You are actually responsible for, and is actually emanating from you. You are the source, you know, of your entire reality and creation, whether you choose to accept that or not. I know a lot of people, it's not popular, you know, want to believe that it's the Illuminati that's controlling everything and this hidden hand that's controlling everything. We're so powerless. You know, but that's because they refuse to see that, you know, or be accountable for the fact that it's us that's gotten ourselves into the state that we're in today. Nobody else, you know. And we continue to give our power away externally by blaming devils and demons and Illuminatis and, you know, whatever, right? You know, so of course they want to, you know, keep this illusion going. You know, and that's how they keep you under the deception. You got to understand, these people are what we call like dark witches, right? It's all illusion, deception, and confusion, right? The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, correct? right? At least we can agree on that, most of us. You know, so if I came to steal, kill, and destroy, what am I stealing? I'm stealing your essence. I'm stealing your energy. I'm stealing your life force, right? I'm stealing your inheritance as a child or son of God, your royalty. When you're born here, everything, God says, I give all things to you, meaning everything already belongs to you. Why? Right? We were given the dominion and power to subdue the earth, all the animals, plants, etc., right? So when you give up that dominion, you're giving up your inheritance. You know, so of course I want you to feel fucking powerless. Of course I want you to feel helpless. Of course I want you to think that you have no control or influence over the reality or over yourself. That only helps me if I'm capitalizing on it. Not only am I going to take my inheritance, I'm going to take yours while I'm at it, right? You know, and most people don't see that. You know, they don't even think about that or consider that. You know, that's why they pray to a God in the sky. You know, that's why they need an intercessor to God, a middleman to God. It's like, dude, if I was going to sell you some weed right now, right? Let's just talk like, you know, let's keep it real. Let's just say I'm going to sell you some weed right now. If you buy the weed directly from me, you get it at the low price. You get exactly, you know, whatever, right? But let's say my cousin over here says, you can't meet the weed man, but I'll sell it to you instead. And he taxes you and pinches you. And you know what I mean? It's the same goddamn thing that's taking place here. We are getting middlemaned. We're getting fucking shortchanged, you know, with the cosmic weed man, which is God, by going to this, you know, this intercessor, this intermediary, this middleman, you know. We believe that, you know, we got to go through a deity or somebody else to meet God. When Christ actually said, I am in you, you are in me, and we are in the Father. He's saying we're all one, right? You will do even greater work than me. How can you do that if he is this divine God being and you're not? How can you do greater things than he did if you're not equal to that? You know, a one-on-one relationships, absolutely. That's why they say to know thyself is to know God, right? Because it's like, once you truly learn who you are, learn to forgive, learn to love, learn to all these things within yourself, you know, that's when you truly find, you know, God. You know, that's when you finally begin to hear his voice, when you quiet down all the outside noise. You know, and religion is the worst noise you'll ever hear, because it always is telling you, you know, you're born into sin, which we already talked about a little bit earlier. Sin means sound. You're born into sound, you know, because everything is light and sound in this expression. Everything's electrical and magnetic in this expression, you know, electrical being the attracting force and magnetism being the repelling force. And that's why he says, you know, no one's ever looked at that face and lived, right? Talking about the face of God. No one's ever seen that face and lived. Think about that. It kills the ego. It kills the ego. You know, that's why it says, humble thyself and be exalted. Or exalt yourself and be humble. It's your fucking choice at the end of the day. They preach damnation, sin, fear, tithing, and money. Well, tithing means a tenth, 10%. You know, and think about it. We use 10% of our brains. We can get to the tithing stuff and all of that on another day. And guilt and shame. Yeah, well, it's a guilt and shame matrix, right? It's a guilt and shame matrix, you know. And it's us seeing these traumatic things and experiencing these traumatic things. Every time we have a traumatic experience in our life, something that damages that inner child or, damages us spiritually, whether it's, horror movies and we're watching people get killed, or it's porn where we have these unrealistic expectations of what sex and love is like, or whatever, Every time we create an attachment in our life, an unhealthy and a toxic attachment in our life, we create an altar. We create an altar. And at those altars, we do what? We offer, right? We give reverence and we offer our energy. We split in two. Think about the collective state of the world, honestly, and tell me it doesn't represent what's going on an individual level, but on a larger scale. You look at like all the churches and cathedrals and temples and, shit like that, replacing the true church, the true temple, the true cathedral. And we see it externalized, where we all gather in the house of worship instead of the true house of worship. Instead of the true house of worship. And see, you can't talk about these things with most people because something is always in their mind to disqualify us. How can John talk about God? He's a satanic, Luciferian, evil shit. He's a junkie, womanizing fuckhead. He cusses all the time. Have you seen his content? Have you heard the way he speaks? Blah, blah, blah. How could he talk about these things? It just goes to show what your reality, truly is, as opposed to the ideal, of how you think things should be. Why did Jesus love the sinner? Why did Jesus love the sinner? Why was it, the one who sins and the lowest one, among us? Why would it be the foolish that would confound the wise? Your depressions are judgments. Well, these are judgments. But every time we pass judgment on someone else, we're actually passing judgment on ourselves. The reason you even feel compelled to judge another person is because of some insecurity, or some wound or trauma within yourself, that you haven't made peace with, that you haven't healed. That's why you feel the need to judge others. You feel the need to disqualify others because, you've been raised up and indoctrinated into a system full of frauds. Jesus flipping over the tables of the money changers and shit should have told you, And real people get angry. Real people, they're human. That was like the premise of all of that, was to show you when he was gathering the tax collectors, carpenters, fishermen, all of this. It was to show you these are normal, regular, everyday ass people, that were his disciples, which means discipline. They practice in the same discipline as him, But we get this illusion fed to us by pastors and preachers and shit like that, where they act like T.D. Jakes and all these, disgraceful human beings that pretend like they hear the voice of God that you can't hear, That's, and any time, someone is taking you for a ride, you can guarantee they're going to pretend like they have access to something you don't. and that you need them. There's that middleman again, right? That way they can tax you on spirituality. You know, you have to go through me to meet God. You have to go through me to understand the Bible. You know, isn't that's what the Protestant, religion was all about, was protesting the fact that the papacy and the Catholics, wouldn't let other people experience the Bible for themselves. They had to have, a pastor, a preacher, be the middleman to interpret it for them. Do you really need someone to interpret, who God is to you? What spirit is to you? What life is to you? How can I tell you what your experience is? Joel Osteen, he's a sack of dog shit, He's a sack of dog shit. You guys don't remember what happened in Houston and shit? When he locked the doors? Left all those people out there to die? This is your holy man. See, this is what, Christians and shit like that. And think about the anagram of Christianity. Rearrange those letters. It's Antichrist. But Lord, Lord, didn't we cast out demons in your name? Get away from me, you evildoers. I never knew you. See, that's the craziest part about all of it to me, is that we've reached a point in the experience where everything has become so fucking self-evident that there ain't even a need to talk about it. But yet there is a need to talk about it, because it's like the elephant in the room. It's the elephant in the room. We feel safe and sound because of our religion and our spiritual beliefs. It's stagnancy. It's being comfortable where we're at and complacent where we're at. We don't want to grow. We don't want to evolve. We stop, rocking the boat, John. Stop rocking the boat, whoever you are. Let us have our false idol. Let us have our false religion. Let us be judgmental and hypocritical and, continue to, to keep the illusion and deception going. Because our lifestyles are comfortable this way. We feel justified this way. Well, yeah, they're stuck in a box, and that's what it means to think outside of the box. Think about Saturn, which is the cube god, right? 6, 6, 6, 1 plus 5, 1 plus 5, 1 plus 5. That's a Masonic cube, okay? And the cross is actually the cube being broken open, right? It's a cube unfolded. That's what a cross is, okay? It means to step outside of the box. To step outside of the box. To stop being stuck in the illusion. And notice he was pierced 5 times. That represents the 5 senses. The 5 senses. He died to the physical self and the physical reality. That's why he said, if thine eye be single, then thy whole body be filled with light. He stopped seeing the illusion of duality and the concept of dualism, right? And was able to see the unified, universal all of everything, and stop seeing things as separate. He didn't feel the need to condemn or condone anything, right? That's why, whenever they were trying to trick him and shit, to stone the prostitute and shit like that, he's like, he without sin, cast the first stone, right? It's like him saying, like, this ain't my spot, this ain't my place, right? Judgment's reserved for the Son of Man, meaning each one of us will judge ourselves. How about that? You will judge yourself? Say what? You mean you won't get thrown in a pit of hell? You mean hell is a lower dimensional space because you were stuck in an illusory paradigm, of guilt and shame? A vibration, that was compatible with suffering. And think about this. Everything in your experience says this is the truth, too. We attract, the vibe that we put off. Think about it. And honestly, you can be a great person, but if you're feeling lonely and depressed and down and sad and you're trying to find a partner, what kind of person do you attract? Do you attract a good person? When your vibration is, real low and distorted and it's sad and lonely and nah. You attract a piece of shit because that's the equivalent match of the vibration you're giving off. And you hear about the tricks of reverse manifestation. Right? A thought, a word, and then an action. Right? A thought, word, and action. And that's why people act as if they already have it. That's what you call having like a lack, mentality, etc. Right? Having the abundance mentality, whether you're broke or not, speaking as if you already have it, and then what? Thinking as if you already do. And tell me it doesn't work, because that's what the Satanists do, right? That's why they always have like, the opposite of everything that we see in our religious ideologies. That's why it's always anti-Christ and anti-this. They're doing reverse manifestation. Judgment is reserved for the sun. That's you. You're the sun. Absolutely, Ty. Absolutely. It doesn't get no more real than that. It doesn't get no more real than that. And every time we fragment ourselves by being attached to another one of these ideas or these concepts, right? Every time that we do this, a piece of us creates an astral cord or an astral connection to that attachment, and we're feeding energy to it. We're giving part of ourself to it. We're divided against ourselves. And remember, a house divided against itself cannot stand. A house divided against itself cannot stand. So I want to ask you, how is your fucking house standing today? How many attachments do you have today? Notice if you're like, and I'll give you a prime example. And it always works too if we think of like practical examples and shit. That's how we kind of like understand things a lot easier, or at least in my opinion, that's how we do. So let's say hypothetically, me and you are going to get into a relationship, right? We're dating now. Let's pretend you're female and etc., etc. Or I'm a female if you're a male, right? We're going to get into a relationship, right? But I'm still stuck on my ex, right? Whoever that is, my imaginary, ex here, right? I'm still attached to that energy. I still think about her all the time. I still wish we were together. I still pine over her, cry over her, remember her, in the good moments that we had. What is the likelihood of us having success in our relationship together if I'm still stuck, if my mind and my energy and my state of being is still somewhere else? What is the likelihood of success? Are you getting all of me? Are you getting all of my focus? Are you getting all of my attention? Are you getting all of my energy and all of my love that way? No. You're getting a piece of me. You're getting a piece of me. How can I build a life with you if I'm thinking about, Sally over here? You know, if mentally I'm still stuck in, 1985 with Sally, right? How can I be in the present moment? How can I give you all my effort? Now think about that with your life. Think about that with your life. Everything that you've been divided against. How can you be in the present moment if you're still attached to all these different things that have split you and fragmented you? How can you give your full focus and attention to anything if you're still energetically feeding into all this other shit that you have separation with spiritually? Great way to break it down. Thank you. Leave that baggage behind. Forget it. Right. Yeah. And why Debs wants me to, forget about Sally. What about you? You know? You know that if I'm not present in this moment, I'm not giving my full focus and attention. I'm not giving my full energy, my full conscious effort, And only a piece of me is here. How can I manifest or attract anything into my life if it's only a fragment or a shell of who I am? Now think about society and how we're divided with all of these labels that we wear, right? That ego, that persona, that domain that you claim as your own. Because that illusion of individuality, right? Where you think you're a gay, female, right? That lives in Tennessee, that votes Republican, right? Of Mexican descent, right? Originally born in Iran, right? All these different labels, all these different divisions, all these different altars that you are bowing down and praying to and giving your energy to. How can you ever be present in anything that you give your life to and give your energy and essence to? How can you ever give focus fully to anything? If you're accepting all of these fucking identities, all of these fucking masks, how will you ever know which one is the real you, right? You gotta have your alliances, right? Your allegiances to all these different masks that you wear, right? But where's the true allegiance to the self? It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. You've sold yourself to belong to the society, right? You're offering yourself to the altar of identity, to the altar of ego. I have a friend who's passed. So heavy he's been bedridden and sick for a year. He doesn't get it. He won't let anything go, including a bad narcissist roommate who actually physically abuses him. Here you go. There you go. I'll tell you like a little personal story. I had a girlfriend I loved to death. Great person. So loyal. Probably one of the first people that ever loved me in my life. Everybody else was a sack of shit and just was abusive to me. But the sad thing was, this person that I was with, and I won't mention names or anything like that, and you don't know her, in case you think you do. She was so attached to what the outside world thought of her, that despite the fact that we had this amazing, partnership and companionship and stuff, she always had a divided allegiance, to other things. She was very liberal. Her family was very liberal, And the fact that I had conservative values and, you know, ideologies and stuff, I was never able to express those when I was with the family. So I sacrificed a little piece of myself there, right? I could never be true and genuine to who I was at the risk of disrupting harmony, you know, within the family. And I love the people, so I didn't want to upset them. They treated me well. They loved me too as long as I was who they wanted me to be. She loved me too as long as I was who she wanted me to be. Society will love you too as long as you're who they want you to be. She was very wealthy, very successful. I was not. Yeah, I had wealth and success, but that's been, you know, years past, pre-COVID. You know, I guess she thought when she was with me that, you know, I would somehow, you know, start caring about the things that she cared about, you know, like money and all of that again. You know, it took me so long to stop caring about money. That used to be all I cared about. You know, that there was no way I was, you know, clinging back to that again. It almost destroyed me. You know. But because she was in this, you know, profession where everybody was wealthy and, you know, and stuff like that, it was like I always felt like I never measured up. You know. Because I always felt like she felt like I never measured up. You know? We make a trade a lot of times in life, and it's not a fair trade. You know, when we try to be accepted by society and by others, you know, we give a little piece of ourselves. If you want to know what selling your soul is, that's what it actually is. You know, it's giving a little piece of yourself and compromising your integrity and your morals and your happiness and the love and the genuineness of who you are and in your heart, you know, for outside acceptance. You know. And I had a really good life with that person. You know, I was really happy. But I wasn't me. It wasn't me. And I genuinely felt like I was betraying myself. Because I was. You know, I could never express my true opinions and intention. I could never be proud of who I just actually was. Because I always had to live up to the idea of who I was supposed to be. How many of us live this type of existence in this type of life? I was always bowing down to the altar of this ego, this persona, this mask that I wore for her and that I wore for all those around me. Are you sacrificing yourself and your integrity and your energy to that altar today? And I want you to truly be honest. This is like true growth, true evolution. It's never like what you think it is, guys. You know, everybody wants to talk about like awareness and enlightenment and shit. Like it's, you know, being a fucking bunhead and floating on a cloud and becoming a vegan. You know, it's not. It's something far different. You know, it's being aware of like the realest version of who we are. Yeah. And this is where it like kind of gets the most tricky, because it's like, do we truly love ourselves? Do we truly love ourselves if we're constantly trying to get everybody outside of us to accept us? if we're truly trying to be successful according to those around us and what they deem as success. You know, and people can act like they don't do this, you're just a liar. You know, you have no honesty with yourself if you believe you've never participated in these things. And like I said, the sad part about, you know, doing content online is like people are not willing to be real and genuine with themselves. It's not the trendy self-help bullshit that they see on TikTok. You'll never get that from me. You'll never get that from me. Like, why would I give it to you? It's never helped me any. What am I gonna do? You know, walking around pretending like I'm somebody I'm not. How does that actually help me or you? Tell me how many people have a beautiful life but are fucking miserable because within that life they're not being true to themselves. Yeah, you're married and you have a big home and a nice car, etc., but you did it all for stability. None of it for love. You did it all for stability. None of it for love. How many of you are that? How many of you are even have the balls to put in the comments or in the chat that you're that? You don't. And even if you know deep down that you are, you still won't. And those who do know it, most don't. They lie to themselves and they say, that's not me. I didn't do that. I didn't sell myself. I didn't capitulate. I didn't compromise. Well, get used to where you're at then. Get used to that state of being. Get used to that, you know, that stagnancy. Get used to that mediocrity. Because that's where you're going to stay. You know, why do you think so many people, when they have spiritual awakenings, they like fucking, you know, run off and move across the country and get divorced and all these crazy things? It's because they wake up one day and they realize their entire life is a lie. They did everything they've done for the wrong reasons because society has impressed upon us that this is the way we're supposed to do it. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to admit that. They think there's shame associated with that. I hate to tell you, the only thing that should be shameful is the fact that you cover that up. It's the fact that you continue to live in that lie. And you can make any excuse in the world for why you continue this existence, and people do, trust me. They always try to make it seem like some selfless, virtuous shit too. Like, I do it for the kids. Or I do it for this, or I do it for that. No, you don't. You do it for you, you motherfucker. You do it because you don't want to admit to everyone you were wrong. You don't want to do it. You do it because you don't want to admit to everybody your life's a sham. You do it because you don't want to give up your comfort and your routine. You do it. You do it because to do otherwise, you would have to face the real fucking you. I'm an ugly, sinful fucking demon, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Been okay with it for a long time. Total psycho on top of it. How about you? How about you? I say words just to trigger you because it gives me joy. It gives me joy. I love shattering paradigms. Mine, yours, I don't care whose. Because I know at the end of the day, once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Once you know it, you can't unknow it. Did you make a vow to God when you got married, or when you swore your oath to your military or your career or whatever else? No, you didn't. You made a vow to your selfish fucking self. And see, and this is the joke of society. This is what we all live in, this illusion like we're all these virtuous people, and we're all doing it for these reasons other than to serve ourselves. We're all narcissists. Did you not get the fucking memo? Or did that new age light worker shit sink so deeply that you began to believe it? That's why I don't want to look at negativity or distortion because it lowers my vibration. No, you don't want to look at it because it reminds you of who the fuck you actually are. The fuck you talking about? You got nothing to do with lowering your vibe. Your vibe's low as fuck as it is. You think that vibe's gonna raise when you're living in a goddamn lie? Do your yoga all you want, motherfucker. It doesn't matter if everything around you is bullshit. I respect people that can embrace their brokenness. I do. Something about it's just like refreshing to me. The motherfucker on the corner here in the city, he wants $1 for a beer. I gave him the fucking dollar because I know he wants it for a beer because he told me so. Right? Instead of the one hustling you saying they need it for diapers and shit. Ain't a child around. That's what we're all doing in society. Instead of admitting we want the fucking beer, the crack rock, the proverbial one. We want to keep feeding this nonsense to each other. Keeping up appearances. Why? Because that's your alter ego. The alter you've created to the fake fucking personality of self. We're all guilty of it. I'm no better than you. Don't think I am. Will never say I am. I'm probably worse than you. I'm on social media. There's nothing more fake than this. There's nothing real about this. This is nonsense. It's bullshit. It's a joke. It's a lie. Anytime I've ever met a person that says, you know what, you're just like you are on social media, like I automatically run the other direction. Because it's like that's like a slice of who we are. Or Instagram lives or Facebook lives. It's like, that's what we choose to show others. You didn't see me when I was in prison. You didn't see me back in the day when I was a heroin addict puking in the toilet when I woke up every day. You didn't see me with the baby's mom I had cheated on me or none of those things, You didn't see that was the real me. You never got to see that guy. Why? Because I was too ashamed to show you. I was hiding from me just as much as I was hiding me from you. And that's what we all do. It's only when we admit that we begin to be, to even begin to be free. A light worker. What a joke. A light worker. I'm a light worker. I'm a dark worker, motherfucker. We're all working in the dark here because we're all blind. We're all blind. To think that we are literally guiding others around us is fucking foolishness and arrogance. You can't see. How can you guide anybody when you're figuring it out yourself? How can you teach anybody when you refuse to even be a student? The greatest teachers of all time are the best students. I've learned more from others' folly and fuck-ups than I've ever learned, you know, from somebody pretending to be perfect. And that's why you belong here. That's why you're amazing. That's why you have something to offer. It's not because of your good qualities or the ones you think you have, or the ones you want to portray to others. What makes you belong, what makes you special, and what makes you have something so amazing to offer is the fact that you're flawed. That's what makes you beautiful. The fact you overcome those flaws. The fact you can still love and persevere in spite of those flaws. And I know a lot of you guys personally, I'm telling you, and a lot of you guys, you have issues just like I do and just like we all do. You know? And I'm so inspired. Like I probably would have tapped out years ago. Shit you've been through, and I'm like, I can't quit. You know, look at what that person's going through. Look at what that person's come back from. You know? And if they were to ever tell their stories, it wouldn't trend on social media. You know? I'm telling you that right now. It'd be put in a horror movie instead. So instead of creating an altar to the idea of who we believe ourselves to be or who we want others to believe us to be, you know, how about instead we sacrifice that, you know, for the true us, for the real us. That's real love, guys. That's real love. I would love, and I know people won't do it, but I dare you to do it. In the comment section after this video's over, you know, tell me something about your struggle. Tell me something about your imperfection. Tell me what makes you you. And not something glamorous and shit. I don't want to hear that. You save that bullshit for fucking TikTok or whatever. But I'd love to know what makes you you. Yeah. You're funny. There's that guy right behind me. I have no idea at this point. Probably the devil, right? He tends to follow me everywhere. Probably my own shadow, you know. Considering we are our own worst enemies. You know, at least I am mine. You probably are yours too. But instead of creating an altar to a false persona, a false reality, you know, and then being offended at everything in life and taking life so fucking serious to the point that you lose the spirit that actually makes you, you know, alive. Try embracing the true you, the essence of who you always are, always will be, and, you know, and understand that if those don't accept you, instead of trying to like please everyone and being accepted by everyone, understand that if people don't accept you for that true, genuine version of you, then they weren't meant to be in your life to start with. Then they didn't love you to start with. You should never have to alter or water yourself down to be accepted or loved by anyone, especially yourself. If you can't love you for you, then how the fuck do you expect anybody else to? How the fuck do you expect anybody else to? If you can't look past your own shit, how do you expect anybody in the world to? The insanity of that. And get real too, like just for a moment. Not for me, for you. You don't have to tell me a damn thing. I'll never know the difference. What happens after you watch this stream or not, whether you got something from it or not. But you will. You'll know whether this was like the turning point in your life, and not because of me. It won't have shit to do with me. It'd be because of you. When you're like, damn. I remember the day when I finally accepted who I actually was and stopped sacrificing myself to who I wanted the world to think I was. When I stopped caring about, who everybody perceived me to be. I don't give a fuck how woke and aware you claim to be. We all do it. We all do it. But when will we stop is the question. Hopefully now. Because if we don't, we're not going to have no choice. See, that's the beauty about the new cycle. It's being forced upon us. That's why everything is being brought to the light. All the corruption, all the falsehoods, all of it. Do you think you will escape it? Do you? Okay. We'll see how that works out for you. I bet your life, will not play out the way you think it does if you do. So, remember, you're beautiful, you're special, and you were created to be exactly who you are intentionally. Right? It was intentional. You did it for a reason. You did it for a reason, not by a mistake. So stop acting like it was. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me. If you enjoyed the stream tonight, please hit the thumbs up, like this, share it out. That helps me more than anything, guys, by sharing it. If you get something from this, you can donate to the channel. It helps me a ton. PayPal, Cash App, Facebook Messenger, or Patreon. The links are in the description. Subscribe, follow, comment. The comments especially help as well with the algorithms. I'm never going to get rich or famous off of this, and I don't really want to, but spreading the message and spreading the awareness is big. That's why I do it. It's because I want to at least share my piece, and maybe somebody will get something out of it and be inspired to share their own, and like I said, the little donations and stuff just helps me, be able to help me. So, and at the end of the day, we're all trying to help ourselves. So to say we're not would be a lie. So follow me, Instagram, Facebook, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn, YouTube, Best Damn Podcast Official, TikTok, The Best Damn Podcast, Facebook, John Keane Best Damn Podcast for my personal page. Check out my tarot readings too. They're pretty good. I do pretty well with that. So if you like tarot and astrology, check me out for that as well. You want to book a personal tarot reading, text 513-393-2396 or email therealbestdampodcast@gmail.com, and you're more than welcome to reach out, just to reach out. If you DM me and shit, you probably won't get a response as fast. So, text or email. That's the quickest and best way. So, guys, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being so understanding and just accepting me for me over the years. You accepted me before I accepted me. That's the craziest part, how we're so willing to accept others, but we don't accept our own fucking selves. Ain't that so nuts? You loved me before I loved me. You know? And if some of you fucking crazy motherfuckers can love me, then surely I can. You know? Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And I will see you soon. And I love all of you. Seriously. Thank you for watching. Peace.